Hi children, welcome back to another session of chemistry class from Highgrove Foundation. As the continued session of types of chemical reactions, today's class we'll be learning about double displacement, displacement reactions, double displacement reactions, as well as oxidation and reduction reactions, as well as the further concepts of corrosion and rancidity. So, starting with today's class, the first concept what we are going to learn is displacement reactions. So what are displacement reactions? The reactions where a more reactive element displaces a less reactive elements from its aqueous solution. That is what you call it as displacement reactions. So taking to understand what is displacement reactions, we have an activity here wherein the things needed for the activity are 2 test tubes with copper sulfate solution. So 10 ml of copper sulfate solution in each test tube will be taken. That we will be taking 2 test tubes of copper sulfate solution. Then we need 3 nails. So when we take the nails, first the nails have to be scrubbed with a sandpaper in order to remove the impurities which may be present on the surface of the nails, which may hinder the chemical reaction. So those 3 nails, out of it, one is kept aside as a sample for comparison, and 2 nails will be tied using a thread and it will be immersed into this copper sulfate solution which is taken for experimentation. Another test tube of copper sulfate solution is kept aside for comparison. Now this setup is left for 20 minutes. For about 20 minutes, when this setup, when 2 nails are immersed into the copper sulfate solution and they are left for 20 minutes, you can see that there is chemical reaction. So after 20 minutes, these 2 nails will be taken out from the copper sulfate solution, and the nails is compared, one of the nail is compared to the nail which was kept aside for comparison. So it can be seen that there will be color change in the nail. So the nail would have turned reddish brown in color, which is the resultant of deposition of copper on the surface of the nail. Now how did this happen, we will understand, and you can also see that there will be change in the color of the copper sulfate solution which would have become lighter in shade. That means the copper would have been lost from the copper sulfate solution which has got deposited on this nail. Now let us understand this concept using this reaction, chemical equation. So that is what happened here. So copper sulfate, which was the chemical which was taken in aqueous form. So this was a nail which was taken, the metal which was inserted into it using the thread. So what happened? This iron, which is nothing but more reactive element, it displaced copper from copper sulfate. So taking its place, iron took the place of copper in copper sulfate and formed ferrous sulfate. So displaced copper out, and this copper was what settled on this nail, giving its characteristic color of reddish brown color. So this is what is termed as displacement reaction. So what you have observed is a more reactive element has displaced the less reactive element from its salt. The similar examples, other examples for displacement reactions are zinc. When it is made to react with copper sulfate, zinc displaces copper from copper sulfate, forming zinc sulfate, and it displaces copper out. Similar, another example is lead. When it is made to react with copper chloride, so this lead being more reactive than copper, so it displaces copper from here and forms lead chloride. So this is are the examples for your displacement reactions. Further, let us understand double displacement reactions. Coming to understand double displacement reactions. So let us understand the definition of double displacement reactions. So it's a chemical reaction where there is mutual exchange of radicals or ions between 2 aqueous solutions. So here there will be mutual exchange. So previously displacement means only one more reactive element was able to displace one less reactive element, but here there will be completely exchange of radicals or the ions between 2 also will be aqueous solutions here, that's compulsory. Okay, so to understand one of the double displacement reaction here, in the one of the test tube, barium chloride will be taken in its aqueous form, and in another test tube, sodium sulfate is taken in again in aqueous form. So coming to understand the displacement, double displacement, what happens? So this is the reaction what happens in double displacement reaction. So you can see that when barium chloride reacts with sodium sulfate, there is exchange of ions or the radicals here. So sodium is taken up by, sodium takes up chlorine from barium chloride, and barium takes up the sulfate radical from sodium sulfate, resulting in formation of barium sulfate, which is BaSO4. It's a white precipitate which is formed over there, and the sodium chloride, which is a salt, will be found in the dissolved form in the aqueous solution over there. So I repeat once again, here you can just see that barium chloride, from barium chloride, this barium takes up sulfate, or it displaces sodium from here, and chlorine will be taken up by sodium. So here there is exchange of ions and the radicals, resulting in formation of this white precipitate. So here this white precipitate is just because of this barium sulfate which is formed, and such reactions are also called as precipitation reactions. So having a definition for precipitation reactions, in any chemical reaction, if any insoluble substance is formed which remains suspended in the solution, then you call those reactions as precipitation reactions. So this is very important question for your exam. They may ask you like, define precipitation reactions and explain it with an example. So this will be the classical example which you will be writing. So another example is given in the activity, wherein they have questioned what will be the result when potassium iodide, which is Ki, potassium iodide, is made to react with lead nitrate. So when it is made to react with lead nitrate, what are the results, or what are the products formed, they have asked, and they have also asked you about the color of the precipitate formed. So this is the answer for that. So it is potassium iodide. When it reacts with lead nitrate, there is an yellow precipitate formed, which is nothing but lead iodide. So lead iodide gives you the yellow precipitate, and this one, potassium nitrate, will be again found in the dissolved form in the aqueous solution. So hope you have understood what are double displacement reactions. Let us now understand oxidation and reduction reactions. Coming to understand oxidation and reduction, this is one of the important concept wherein questions will be asked for 10th standard paper. And oxidation, easily if you want to understand, it is nothing but the process wherein it's a process of addition of oxygen. So any element, if it is combining with oxygen to form a compound, then you just call it as it is getting oxidized. So for example, if you take magnesium ribbon when it is burnt in the presence of oxygen. So you know, magnesium combines with atmospheric oxygen and forms magnesium oxide. So you tell that magnesium is getting oxidized to form its oxide, which is nothing but magnesium oxide. In other words, you can also term that as oxidation is nothing but loss of hydrogen also. So here, contrary to that, you can also understand reduction as addition of hydrogen. So when some element is combining with hydrogen, you tell that it is getting reduced. Otherwise, you can also term it as loss of oxygen, also is considered as reduction process. So one simple experiment we can just take in order to understand the concept of oxidation and reduction. So here is a simple apparatus. What you have to do is that you take, in a china dish, you take some copper powder which is a reddish brown in color, and you heat it using a Bunsen burner on a wire gas, or this apparatus you use and burn it or heat it. Okay, so here what you do is you just observe here that copper powder, which is reddish brown in color, will react with atmospheric oxygen and will undergo chemical reaction forming its oxide, that is copper oxide will be formed. And how do you identify the formation of copper oxide is, there will be color change which is seen, a characteristic color change will be seen. So slowly you can see that the surface of copper powder will be turning to a black deposition. Okay, black compound deposition will be there. So that black color is due to the formation of this copper oxide. So that is the simple thing. What happens is, copper powder, when it combines with oxygen, it leads to formation of CuO which is copper oxide, and we tell that copper is getting oxidized. Why it is getting oxidized? Because it is combining with oxygen to form this copper oxide. So we tell that copper is getting oxidized to form copper oxide. Similarly, after this, when further on that copper oxide, if hydrogen gas is passed, then and in under heat, when it is hydrogen gas is passed over copper oxide, you can see the reverse reaction. So whatever is black in color copper oxide will be seen to come back to its original color of reddish brown color with formation of water molecules. So this is reduction. You tell that copper oxide is combining with hydrogen, that is it is getting this is getting reduced to form copper and water. Okay, so here there are certain chemical reactions wherein simultaneously oxidation as well as reduction both will be occurring together. So such reactions you call them as redox reactions. What do we call them as? Redox reactions. So here you can just understand redox reactions. So here copper oxide, it is losing oxygen to form copper. You tell copper oxide is getting reduced to form copper. Simultaneously hydrogen is combining with this oxygen to form water. You tell hydrogen is getting oxidized to form water. So they just give you some equations and ask you to identify which element is getting reduced and which element is getting oxidized. So that is what you understand or identify by seeing whether which element or which compound is losing oxygen or it is gaining oxygen, to identify whether it is getting oxidized or reduced. So that is a simple concept. Some more examples for redox reactions are reaction of zinc oxide with carbon. So when zinc oxide reacts with carbon, it results in formation of zinc and carbon monoxide. So what is happening here? Zinc oxide is getting reduced to form zinc. That means it is losing oxygen to form zinc. Simultaneously carbon is getting oxidized to form carbon monoxide. So this carbon monoxide, which is usually unstable, so it further undergoes oxidation, combines with oxygen and forms a stable compound which is carbon dioxide. So you just can identify, they can ask you to identify which is getting oxidized and which is getting reduced. So you can identify zinc is getting reduced here and carbon is getting oxidized. Another example for redox reactions is MnO2, manganese dioxide. When it reacts with hydrochloric acid, results in formation of manganese chloride and water along with liberation of chlorine. So here this manganese dioxide is losing oxygen, that means it is getting reduced to form manganese chloride, whereas HCl, it is losing chloride and getting addition of oxygen. So you tell that HCl is getting oxidized to form water. So this is about your oxidation reduction as well as redox reaction. So further there are two more concepts which are very important in the view of your exam. So the first concept is application of oxidation process in daily life. So in everyday life, what applications we find or where do we find the application of oxidation? There are two concepts which are important in the view of examination. So one is corrosion and another one is rancidity. So what is corrosion? Corrosion is a process by which there will be loss of metals because of oxidation of these metals. So three classical examples you can take where iron particles are exposed to oxygen, atmospheric oxygen. They undergo rusting. So rusting is a process wherein surface of iron, when it gets exposed to oxygen, it forms ferric oxide, so or the ferrous oxide which is formed, and it leads to the damage of that metal. So rusting things, you know, there is a lot of loss which is caused due to the economy of a country because of the damage of the iron metal which is exposed. It can be bridges or the rails which can be there, or other articles of iron which can be the huge ships or any buildings also, or in common houses also. We can see that there will be damage of metal because of the corrosion or corrosion process, which is particularly called as rusting of iron. So some other similar metals which you can take example for corrosion are silver articles. When they are exposed to atmospheric oxygen, they just turn grey in color, blackish grey in color, which is due to the formation of silver oxide. So that is one example. And copper articles also will develop some green lines or green patches because of the corrosion process. So how to prevent this corrosion? these metals should not be exposed to atmospheric oxygen. So in order to prevent the rusting of iron, painting can be done, or other processes of covering the surface of the metal can be done. The next concept is rancidity. So what is rancidity? It is nothing but oxidation of oily substances or oil containing substances. You know that some eatables or some other oil containing food materials, when they are exposed to atmospheric oxygen, or when they are left alone for a longer period of time, they undergo rancidity. They become rancid, and there will be a development of a bad smell or unpleasant smell, and even the taste will be changing here. So this is what you call it as rancidity. You tell that the food materials have become rancid, so they will not be fit for eating. Now there is a question again, if such action is going on, again it's a waste of those things. So how to prevent rancidity? So first thing is that you have to prevent oxidation. So what to do? You have to use chemicals which are called as antioxidants. So antioxidants are those chemicals which prevent oxidation. So that is one process. Second one is that the food items can be stored in airtight containers wherein they are prevented from getting exposed to atmospheric oxygen, or else refrigeration also can be done. Apart from that, rancidity can also be prevented by flushing the food items with nitrogen gas. So that is what is done in case of chips packets and other things. When they are packed, they are flushed with nitrogen in order to prevent the rancidity. So that's it. It completes your chemistry first lesson of chemical reactions and equations. So let us meet again. Thank you children for listening.
ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋ ವಿಡಿಯೋಗಳು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗಿದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಬೆಲ್ ಐಕನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಮಾಡೋ ವಿಡಿಯೋಗಳ ನೋಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಮೊದಲು ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿ ಸಂದೇಹಗಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕಮೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಿಳಿಸಿ. ಹಾಗೆ ಈ ತರಗತಿಗಳು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ತಲುಪುವಂತೆ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ.